I'm Allie and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 most disappointing reads of 2018. So just like my favorite reads of 2018 video, I'm going to be doing this going from 5 to 1, and I'm not going to be doing any honorable mentions this time. I just have 5 disappointing reads, so I figured I would just put them in order and talk about them. So taking the number 5 spot would be Final Draft by Riley Redgate. I did enjoy this book, however there were a lot of things that I was just disappointed in and that I didn't really enjoy as much as I thought I would. Basically, Final Draft is about a girl named Layla, and she is really into writing, especially creative writing, and in her creative writing class she has a teacher that she really enjoys, but that teacher ends up getting sick and is replaced by a substitute teacher who she doesn't actually like as much as her normal teacher. And this book is really short, so I felt like a lot of the plot that was happening in the book didn't really get to be fleshed out as much. There were a lot of different little minor plot points that felt kind of like throwaway plot points that didn't really get to be explored as much as if this were maybe like a 350 page novel instead of I think this is under 300 pages. Yeah, this is about 250 pages. So I feel like there needed to be at least 100 more pages to make the story flow a little bit better. And I feel like the entire just like pacing of the novel wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I felt like a lot of the plot happened towards the end of the book, and the beginning was just a weird pacing. It didn't exactly feel like filler, but it didn't really feel necessary either. Another thing I didn't really enjoy about this book was the characterization. I felt like a lot of the characters just didn't really make sense, and we weren't really given enough time with these characters to A, sympathize with them, and B, understand them. It just didn't, like, I feel like this whole novel just didn't feel like enough. It felt like just a little sliver of a story, but not the entire story, and I really wish that this book had been given the time to be fleshed out rather than just being like a 250 page splice of a story. However, I did really enjoy this novel. I did give it around a 3.5 star rating. I feel like maybe it deserves more of just a solid 3 stars, so I might change my rating, but this book really hasn't stuck with me at all. I really only kept it because the cover is so beautiful, but I am thinking of donating it, or maybe, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. It's probably just gonna sit in my box of unwanted books until I figure out what to do with it. But yeah, it's not something that I really feel compelled to keep on my shelf anymore, and I feel like someone else would enjoy it a lot more than I did. My second most disappointing read is just really honestly disappointing. I really had a lot of high hopes for the second book, but it didn't really deliver, and that was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I was so excited when this book came out, and I love the cover and I love the series. However, this book just really fell flat for me. I think I gave it about a 3 out of 5 stars. And I just was not into this book at all. For some reason, there's just like nothing was really grabbing me and holding my attention. It just felt like a really big struggle to continue with this book and read it and enjoy the characters. I didn't feel like the main character Tella was characterized well enough. I really did like her in Caraval, but I ended up not really liking her in Legendary, which is so strange because I just feel like, why would I like her better in the first book but not like her in the second? I felt like there was like a disconnect between Tella in the first book and the second book. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this book who didn't enjoy the first book, but I'm kind of the opposite. I really enjoyed Caraval, but I didn't enjoy Legendary so much. I do feel like I need to reread it though, because maybe I was just in a weird headspace at the time. I don't know, but I just really did not enjoy Legendary. I really wanted to, but I am still excited about Finale. That's definitely a book that I'm looking forward to coming out, and I will definitely continue with the series. I feel like the stakes weren't high enough. I felt like the magic wasn't really there. I also felt like Caraval did the whole like carnival thing better than Legendary did, which is so strange. And I don't know, maybe it's just the setting I didn't like. It all felt a little too contrived, like she had to write a second book and she had to come up with something to make the second book about, and this is what she came up with. And the writing is still really good, it's still very beautiful writing, but it just wasn't as good as Caraval. Like, it just didn't really measure up, and I'm wondering if maybe I need to listen to the audiobook because I really enjoyed the Caraval audiobook. I don't know, maybe it was me, but I just didn't enjoy this one as much, and I wish that I had like a better, more concise reasoning to why I didn't like it. There was just something off and I can't put my finger on it. That's why I feel like I need to reread this book so I can actually put my finger on why I didn't like it, because I just felt like the entire time it was just really dragging. Like, just the whole story, the plot, the characters, I just could not get invested in any of it. The third book on this list is also a part of a series, and that is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I really did not like this book. I was kind of meh about the first book, Shadow and Bone. I really enjoyed Siege and Storm, and then I got to Ruin and Rising and I just could not stand any of it any longer. It was just like, so many things were happening, but also nothing was happening at the same time. There were parts in the very end of the book, I was skipping actual paragraphs and pages and chapters. Like, I just did not care about reading about Mal tracking because there's like a whole entire section of the end of the book where it's just Mal tracking the entire time, and I didn't care. Like, I felt like so much of that part could have been condensed and made into maybe a few paragraphs, but definitely it was like more like pages. Like, I don't know why it had to be pages long of Mal tracking and just boring like descriptions of setting and things, and it was just boring by the end, and I really did not enjoy this book. I wish that it had been better. There are so many things that I feel like should have happened that did not happen, and I feel like the ending was both the worst part of the book and the best part of the book. Not really because like, oh, it was over, but like, I did enjoy the deaths that happened in the end of the book, but then, I don't know, it was just such a bittersweet ending, and it kind of, I don't know, I feel like I still feel like I should have read this series before reading Six of Crows instead of the other way around. That's like my one regret. But yeah, I do have an entire video about these 3 books in the series. It's a whole series review, so I will leave that in the link down below. And yeah, so this book was definitely a huge disappointment for me in 2018, but I don't really regret reading the whole series. I'm glad I read it. It's just this book wasn't that great. The second book on this list I don't actually own in a physical copy, thankfully, because I remember there were so many times I saw it at Target and I was going to pick it up and then I never did, and I'm so glad I didn't. And that is Everlist by Sarah Holland, and I read that as an audiobook, and I really did not like this book. Surprisingly, I finished it. I don't know how I finished it. It was just, I don't know what to say about that book. I think I said this in my review of the book, but Sarah Holland was able to use almost every single YA cliche known to mankind in one book, and some of them were done really well, and then others just kind of felt like they were thrown in as like a plot twist, and that was it. That was the whole reasoning behind it. There were some that I felt were done super well, and it's a really interesting premise with it being like time is currency, and she sacrificing her time for her father, and all this political intrigue, and that was really interesting, but there was just so much. I felt like she could have cut at least like 10 of the cliches and it would have been such a better book. It wouldn't have been so bogged down by all of these like cliches and tropes and stuff like that. I just felt like there were too many, and she was trying to do too many things in one book when she should have like kind of, you know, maybe like, you know, spread the cliches and tropes throughout the whole series instead of trying to condense them all into one book. Maybe it's just like a first-time author, first-time book sort of thing, because I'm pretty sure that Everlist is Sarah Holland's first book. I might be wrong, but it just didn't feel like it was polished enough. It felt like it needed to go through maybe 1 or 2 more rounds of editing and then it would have been really good. and there were a lot of parts that I liked about it. I did enjoy the characters. I thought the characters were really well done, but it was just so bogged down by tropes and cliches, and I like tropes and cliches. I have nothing wrong with, like, nothing. There's nothing wrong with them. I think that they're really great, and I think they add a lot to a story, but I don't feel like using like 10 cliches or 10 tropes or whatever is necessary. I feel like she could have definitely cut down on those and gone through a few more edits, and then it would have been a lot better. But it just wasn't a book for me. I feel like it's just kind of like a lot of these books are either it's a book for you or it's not a book for you. And there are going to be people who really enjoy these books, but I was just not one of them. And I really wish I liked Everlist because I would like to continue with the series. I just don't feel like it's in my best interest, and I don't feel like it would be the best use of my time. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be continuing that series, but it was actually a pretty good audiobook. I did like listening to it. It's just that the story wasn't really what I was looking for. Okay, and the very last book in this most disappointing reads of 2018 video is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And I did actually tab this book while I was reading it, but as you can see, I never actually finished it. I got to the very end, and I did not finish it. I literally stopped at the very part of the book where I got so fed up and so frustrated, and I hated the plot twist. It was so angering because like there was almost no reason for it to happen. I just felt like it happened just to be shocking, and I was so angry. If this was like a spoilery video, I would totally tell you because I'm looking right at the lines where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I remember I finished the chapter, but that was it. Like, I'm like, I cannot read this anymore. I'm not gonna spend my time reading this book anymore. I was so angry and frustrated, and for a while I was like, I was just angry for no reason. But rereading those lines right now, I can remember exactly how mad I was. I was just so angry, and oh my gosh, I cannot like, I can't really explain my feelings for this book because I did enjoy it. As you can see, I did start tabbing it while I was reading it because I was enjoying it, and I thought that I would finish the book, and I had I think the third book in the series. For some reason, I don't have the second book, but I just did not like this book, and I gave it a chance because Victoria Aveyard graduated from USC, and my family is a really big fan of USC football, so I'm like, okay, Victoria Aveyard, she graduated from USC, it's a really good school, she's probably a really good writer, and I'll probably like her book. I did not enjoy her book. I enjoyed her writing for the most part. It was pretty good, a little simple, but it was good. But the plot and the characters and the plot twists were just too much for me. It didn't make sense to me, and I just did not like them. I did not like that plot twist. It was just, oh my gosh, I wish I liked this book. I really do. I wanted to like it so bad, and I wanted to give it a chance, and I wanted to be like the one that was like, oh, it's not that bad, you know, you guys are just being like over dramatic or whatever. But no, I really didn't like this book. It's really unfortunate. I really wanted to like it, but no, it's definitely one of my the most disappointing read of 2018. This is number 1, Red Queen. There you go. Okay, so that was the entire video. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Most disappointing reads of 2018 or any year are always my favorite ones to watch. They're not really my favorite ones to film, but I feel like they're kind of necessary just to talk about both the good and the bad. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a comment and a like and a subscribe and all those things. I don't really know what I'm saying, but yeah, also follow my Instagram, my Twitter, my blog, Goodreads, all those things, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!